Hello. It's Let's Talk Tuesday, so let's talk about labels. This is one of my favorite topics to discuss because there's so many different opinions on it. But I'm here to tell you my perspective, and my experience with labels. For pretty much my entire sexually awakened life, I've been attracted to girls. The journey to admit that to myself was something different. And to this day, I struggle with if it was all entirely denial or if my sexuality is just fluid because even after years and years of being out and identifying as a lesbian, I feel like there's still more to learn about myself. So when I was little and in deep denial about my feelings about girls, I was very closeted, and there were just a few people that would push me on it and be like, "Are you sure you're not gay?" And I'd be like, no, I like boys a lot. And very strategically, I would get these crushes on boys who had absolutely no interest in me. And they were basically my excuse for not dating throughout my entire adolescence. I can't date anybody because I love him and he doesn't love me back, and perfect excuse for not dating anybody, ever. But in high school, I definitely knew a little bit that I had crushes on girls because they would give me that tingly, fun feeling inside. But I couldn't admit it to myself. I couldn't really admit it to anybody else. I think I talked to my best friends a little about it. A little about how, beautiful I thought a girl was. At least I could admit that. But I couldn't use the words. I couldn't even, be bisexual. I couldn't do anything. In between this, closeted stage and coming out, I also considered the fact that maybe I was asexual. I thought, if I'm not attracted to men, then I must not be attracted to anybody because there's no way in the world I could be attracted to women. So I really deeply considered being asexual, the fact that I could be asexual for a while. Finally came out to my mom as bisexual. That was not an easy day. She kept yelling at me, crying, and saying, "No, you're a lesbian, you're a lesbian." I'm like, "No, Mom, please. I could maybe someday like a boy." No, you can't. There's no such thing. There is such thing as bisexuality, by the way. And ultimately, yeah, I did land on lesbian because finally, I was able to be honest with myself, and lesbian felt the most honest. I found myself being attracted to women, sexually and romantically, and only women. And that's it. Monosexuality, right? One of the things that made identifying as a lesbian so difficult, just one of the things, was how much pressure there was to the label. I feel like there's a lot of rules to identifying as a lesbian. For example, there's this thing, you're not a real lesbian if you've ever had sex with a guy. You need to be a gold star lesbian, which means never having had sex with a guy. Also, as a lesbian, you cannot enjoy kissing men, and I've kissed men before, and that's fine. And I'm attributed that to, being an actor. I'm like, a mouth is a mouth. Who cares? I definitely had a journey with my identity, my sexual identity. I went through a few different labels, right? And I don't think that journey's over. And I think for a lot of people, sexuality is very complex, and we might never really find that label that's exactly right for us, right? I think I very much like the idea of a spectrum, and we fit in different places of the spectrum, and it's not until we find people of certain genders that we connect to that we realize exactly where we are on the spectrum. There is such a pressure to be sure of yourself when you come out and when you pick a label and an identity. For some reason, people think that when you come out and when you pick a label that it's carved in stone and you can never take it back and you can never change it. But that's not true. You can change your label. You're not trapped in a box by a label. Labels are just meant to simplify and meant to effectively communicate your sexual and romantic desires for that time that you are identifying as such. And when I say that labels can change, I don't mean that you can convert anybody. Nobody's sexuality can be changed by force. It's just something that happens. Some people are just more fluid than others. Some people are going to be the same sexuality their entire lives, from birth to death, exactly the same, no shifts. But there are also people in the world that it can weave in and out. It can change throughout, and the labels will change. And for those people, that's why the word queer has been reclaimed, right? Because queer is this umbrella term for not straight. Like, with the word queer, you don't have to pick anything. It's just not straight. And you can kind of do whatever you want in there, which is really fun, which is why I like, being lesbian/queer. Like, the acknowledgement that so far in my life I only like women. But this acknowledgement of like, but really I can do whatever I want. So, no label, no problem. Don't rush it. There really is nothing wrong with not wanting a label. That's fine. If you want to change your label, you want to come out, you want to be something else, you just met somebody of a gender that doesn't comply with the label that you're currently in, that's cool. Change it. That's just fine. Orientation and identities are complex. Human sexuality can be very fluid, and that's okay. So there are usually a lot of different opinions on this, and I'm very excited to hear from you guys. I love for Let's Talk Tuesday to start a conversation in the comments, so leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Also, I am making videos every day, Monday through Friday, so please remember to subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Bye-bye!